You know what time it is. Get into it. We are back, baby. We are back. And my hair is getting long and thick out here. Thank God for the growth. I love it. I hope everybody's having a good day. I'm a little bit more docile today. Not to say that anything is wrong. I'm doing the best I can. I am quite blessed and fortunate. I'm counting my blessings as the days go by. Shout out to my little friend Archimedes. He's awesome. Thank you, friend. Of course, I got the dragon up here. Rolo, hold on, bud. Whee! Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Get your friend. Get your friend that motivates you to do what you have to do. He's not my only friend, but he's one of the newer ones that's pushing me to take care of myself and continue to pursue my dreams, which are always going to be challenging. Nothing good in this world is ever easily obtained. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You gotta work hard for it. Put your drive into it. Now, you did not hear me philosophize over here and be philosophical. You came to hear me read. And as I always say, you do not have to watch these videos when they go live. You're more than welcome to watch them in your leisurely time. Please like, share, subscribe onto the YouTube channel. I will be very grateful for it. I do not do this for profit. Storytime with Chris was always meant to be a space and a passion project of getting kids excited about reading, as well as adults getting excited about the magic of reading. It doesn't matter how old or young you are, you should always be reading. Whether it's a sports page, a magazine, a novella, a novel, a comic, a manga, newspaper, anything, as long as you are reading and cultivating yourself, because reading is not just fundamental, it is essential. It teaches us new languages, teaches us different perspectives, different cultures, history, expanding our minds and allowing ourselves to be more well-rounded people. So we're back with Anne of Green Gables. Chapter 13. The Delights of Anticipation. It's time Anne was in to do her sewing, said Marilla, glancing at the clock, then out into the yellow August afternoon, where everything drowsed in the heat. She stayed playing with Diana more than half an hour more than I gave her leave to, and now she's perched out there on the woodpile talking to Matthew, 19 to the dozen, when she knows perfectly well that she ought to be at her work, and of course he's listening to her like a perfect ninny. I never saw such an infatuated man. The more she talks, the odder the things she says, the more he's delightedly evident. And Shirley, you come right in here this minute, do you hear me? A series of staccato taps on the west window brought Anne flying in from the yard, eyes shining, cheeks faintly flushed, with pink unbraided hair streaming behind her in a torrent of brightness, which staccato is one of my favorite musical terms. Staccato means, well, there's legato, which is slow and connected, smooth and slow. Staccato is quick, sharp, quick, sharp. So an example of a staccato beat would be Give me a moment. My apologies. Wow, I'm really drawing a blank, y'all. Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. Oh, well, that works. Okay, so if anybody's familiar with Howl's Moving Castle, one of the theme songs of that film, of the Studio Ghibli film, more so specifically, there is Merry Go Round the World, which is a beautiful theme by Joe Hisashi. He's an incredible pianist and a wonderful composer. But it goes, there's a variation of it that goes, Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. That's very short and sweet and sharp. But the legato would be. See how the notes are slow, smooth, connected. Another example of that would be the theme of Swan Lake. Very smooth, very slow, very nice. Staccato is just Jaws. Bum, bum. It's very like sharp, very quick. One of these days, another musical example I'll bring up, which I've been wanting to read, is Peter and the Wolf. And I'm pretty sure I have a version of it on my shelf. We'll read that sometime this weekend if I have time. Back to the story.
Oh, Marilla, she exclaimed breathlessly, there's going to be a Sunday school picnic next week at Mr. Harmon Andrews' field, right near the Lake of Shining Waters, and Mrs. Superintendent Bell and Mrs. Rachel Lynde are going to make ice cream. Think of it, Marilla, ice cream! And, oh, Marilla, can I go to it?
Just look at that clock, if you please, Anne. What time did I tell you to come in?
2:00. But isn't it splendid about the picnic, Marilla? Please, can I go? Oh, I've never been to a picnic. I've dreamed of picnics, but I've never...
Yes, I told you to come in at 2:00, and it's 2:45. I'd like to know why you didn't obey me, Anne.
Why, I meant to, Marilla, as much as I could be. But when you have no idea how fascinating Idlewild is, and then, of course, I had to tell Matthew about the picnic. Matthew is such a sympathetic listener. Please, can I go?
You'll have to resist that fascination of idle, whatever you call it. When I tell you to come in at a certain time, I meant that time, and I'm not a half an hour later. And you needn't stop to discourse with sympathetic listeners on your way, either. As for the picnic, of course you can go. You're a Sunday school scholar, and it's not likely I'd refuse to let you go when all the other little girls are going.
But,
faltered Anne.
Diana says that everybody must take a basket of things to eat. I can't cook, as you know, Marilla, and I don't mind going to a picnic without puffed sleeves so much, but I feel terribly humiliated if I had to go without a basket. It's been preying on my mind ever since Diana told me.
Well, it needn't prey any longer. I'll bake you a basket.
Oh, you dear good Marilla. Oh, you're so kind to me. Oh, I'm so much obliged to you.
Getting through with her O's, Anne cast herself into Marilla's arms and rapturously kissed her shallow cheek. It was the first time in her whole life that childish lips had voluntarily touched Marilla's face. Again, that sudden sensation of startling sweetness thrilled her. She was secretly vastly pleased at Anne's impulsive caress, which was probably the reason why she said briskly, There, never mind your kissing nonsense. I'd sooner see you doing strictly as you're told. As for cooking, I mean to begin giving you lessons in that some of these days. You're so feather-brained, Anne. I've been waiting to see if you'd sober down a little and learn to be steady before I begin. You've got to keep your wits about you in cooking and not stop in the middle of things to let your thoughts rove over all creation. Now get out your patchwork and have your square done before tea time.
I do not like patchwork, said Anne dolefully, hunting over her work basket and sitting down before a little heap of red and white diamonds with a sigh. I think some kinds of sewing would be nice, but there's no scope for imagination in patchwork. It's just one little seam after another, and you never seem to be getting anywhere. But of course I'd rather be Anne of Green Gables sewing patchwork than Anne of any other place with nothing to do but play. I wish time went as quick sewing patches as it does when I'm playing with Diana, though. Oh, we do have such elegant times, Marilla. I have to furnish most of the imagination, but I'm well able to do that. Diana is simply perfect in everything and every other way. You must know that little piece of land across the brook that runs up between our farm and Mr. Barry's? It belongs to Mr. William Bell. And right in the corner, there's a little ring of white birch trees. The most romantic spot, Marilla. Diana and I have our playhouse there. We call it Idlewild. Isn't that a poetical name? I assure you that it took me some time to think it out. I stayed awake nearly a whole night before I invented it. Then just as I was dropping off to sleep, it came like an inspiration. Diana was enraptured when she heard it. We have got our house fixed up elegantly. You must come and see it, Marilla. Oh, somebody's watching. Hi. We have great big stones, all covered with moss for seats, and boards from tree to tree for shelves, and we have all our dishes on them. Of course they're all broken, but it's the easiest thing in the world to imagine that they are whole. There's a piece of plate with a spray of red and yellow ivy on it. That is especially beautiful. We keep it in the parlor, and we have the fairy glass there, too. The fairy glass is as lovely as a dream. Diana found it in the woods behind their chicken house. It's all full of rainbows, just like young rainbows that haven't grown big yet. And Diana's mother told her it was broken off a hanging lamp they once had. But it's nicer to imagine the fairies lost it one night when they had a ball, so we call it the fairy glass. Matthew is going to make us a table. Oh, we have named that little round pool over in Mr. Barry's field Willowmere. I got that name out of the book Diana lent me. That was a thrilling book, Marilla. The heroine had 5 lovers. I'd be satisfied with one, wouldn't you? She was very handsome, and she went through great tribulations. I love that word. Love that word. Trial and tribulation. I love that word. She could faint as easy as anything. I'd love to be able to faint, wouldn't you, Marilla? It's so romantic. But I'm really very healthy for all. I'm so thin. I believe I'm getting fatter, though. Do you think I am? I look at my elbows every morning when I get up to see any dimples are coming. Diana's having a new dress made with elbow sleeves. She's going to wear it at the picnic. Oh, I do hope it will be fine next Wednesday. I do feel that I can endure the disappointment if anything happened to prevent me from getting to the picnic. I'd suppose I'd live through it, but I'm certain it would be a lifelong sorrow. It wouldn't matter if I got to 100 picnics, and after years, they wouldn't make up for missing this one. They're going to have boats on the Lake of Shining Waters, and ice cream, as I told you. I've never tasted ice cream. Diana tried to explain what it was like, but I guess ice cream is one of those things that are beyond imagination. And you've talked even on for 10 minutes by the clock, said Marilla. Now, just for courtesy's sake, see if you can hold your tongue for the same length of time. Anne held her tongue as desired, but the rest of the week she talked picnic and thought picnic and dreamed picnic. On Saturday it rained, and she worked herself up into such a frantic state lest it should keep on raining until and over Wednesday that Marilla made her sew an extra patchwork square by way of steadying her nerves. On Sunday, Anne confided to Marilla on the way home from church that she grew actually cold all over with excitement when the minister announced the picnic from the pulpit. Such a thrill as went up and down my back, Marilla. I don't think I'd ever really believed until then that there was honestly going to be a picnic. I couldn't help fearing I'd only imagine it. But when a minister says a thing in the pulpit, you just have to believe it. You set your heart too much on things, Anne, said Marilla with a sigh. I'm afraid there'll be a great many disappointments in store for you through life. Oh, Marilla, look forward to things as half the pleasure of them, exclaimed Anne. You mayn't get the things themselves, but nothing can prevent you from having the fun of looking forward to them. Mrs. Lynde says, Blessed are they who expect nothing, for they shall never be disappointed. But I think it would be worse to expect nothing than to be disappointed. Marilla wore an amethyst brooch to church that day as usual. Marilla always wore her amethyst brooch to church. She would have thought it rather sacrilegious to leave it off, as bad as forgetting her Bible or any of her collection dime. That amethyst brooch was Marilla's most treasured possession. Which goes to show, in regards to church nowadays, that there are churches who try to get people to put more in their tithes and offerings. And as I was always taught, at least in my background, you give 10% of what you are able into your tithes and offerings. And it's nobody else's business how much you put in there, okay? It isn't. I said what I said. The amethyst brooch was Marilla's most treasured possession.
A seafaring uncle had given it to her mother, who in turn had bequeathed it to Marilla. It was an old-fashioned oval, containing a braid of her mother's hair, surrounded by a border of a very fine amethyst. Marilla knew too little about precious stones to realize how fine the amethysts actually were, but she thought them very beautiful and always pleasantly conscious of their violet shimmer at her throat, above her good brown satin dress, even though she could not see it. Anne had been smitten with delight and admiration when she first saw that brooch.
"Oh, Marilla, it's a perfectly elegant brooch. I don't know how you can pay attention to the sermon or the prayers when you have it on. I couldn't, I know. I think amethysts are just sweet. They are what I used to think diamonds were like. Long ago, before I ever seen a diamond, I read about them and I tried to imagine what they would be like. I thought they'd be lovely, glimmering purple stones. When I saw a real diamond in a lady's ring one day, I was so disappointed I cried. Of course, it was very lovely, but it wasn't my idea of a diamond. Will you let me hold the brooch for 1 minute, Marilla? Do you think amethysts can be the souls of good violets?" And that is where we will end for today. Now, another fun fact, amethysts are actually pretty awesome crystals to have. Crystals are made of the earth. They each have their own unique vibrational frequency that gives off certain energies and certain frequencies to the body and to the earth around them. Some crystals are even potent enough to make certain areas of earth very fertile and very moist. Even when a volcano erupts, even though it's a very scary thing for a volcano to go off, volcanoes are actually very pivotal because it's the molten lava that may burn the earth, but all of that volcanic ash is the most fertile material for the planet to grow new land masses and to grow new crops. And it also helps, the heat of the magma and the lava helps define and bring out those beautiful crystals and gems to make them better defined. Amethyst is a stone that is able to dispel negativity and to absorb negative energy and cultivate into more positive stuff. So amethyst is really great. It always breaks my heart to see those videos, and I'm pretty sure people have seen them on Facebook and Instagram, of people going to amethyst caves and sitting in there and, soaking in their energy. But all of those areas are pretty much heavily tapped out for the vast amount of people that come in there to just take, and never to give. So amethyst is awesome. If you're able to find some, or go to your local crystal shop, go to your local fossil shop, and they will have amethyst, bismuth, citrine, rose quartz, opalite. See? I always stay with my crystals. There we go. Can't really see them. There we are. Because crystals are dope. But I will see you all next time. Be good to each other. Enjoy your day, okay?